Whether you're easing into your morning or deep into your day, we are grateful that you've made space for us. Welcome to Jaseri, where we do things differently. We go beyond the noise, beyond the trending hashtags, and get to the heart of the matter with real stories, bold voices, and honest reflection. Thursdays offer us a moment to pause and, quiet the end. It's quite the end of the week, but close enough to look back, take stock, and ask, what's changing? What still needs to? And where do we need to go from here? We've got a great lineup for you today when it comes to great conversations. But first,
I don't know, the ladies love that. First.
Yeah, but first.
You're fine, lonely.
Honestly, Tolu, I don't know your skin.
I was going to say, yeah.
She does every time she walks into the studio. She just stops my heart for like a second. Then my witch kicks in like
something when you came into the studio.
What is it?
Can she repeat that on air? Is it appropriate for repetition while we are live on air?
Yeah, this situation, she's got going is something we talk behind.
So, but first, I like this energy today, Today is May 1st, which we celebrate in Nigeria as Workers' Day. We have several correspondents who are out across various locations in the country as the day is being commemorated. We do know we're touching base with our correspondent in Abuja, Joshua Imaraye, and we hope that Bernard Akede, who is somewhere in the Ikeja area of Lagos, will also be able to join us. But let's go straight to Joshua Imaraye, and I have confirmation that Bernard is with us. He's in the Ikeja area of Lagos. Bernard, good morning to you.
Hi, Tolu, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. I'm actually in Mobolaji. Somehow become the traditional.
Is he fading? We can't hear him.
Oh la la. All right, so we'll have to go back to him in just a moment. There seems to be a technical issue, but I even wanted to say those polos. I just can't find the polo.
I'm dumbfounded. I'm flabbergasted. Honestly, that they're even gathering. So workers really consider, the day, because even with all that they go through on a daily basis.
The fact that many people are still not paying 70,000 naira minimum wage.
That's why I'm wondering that
70,000.
70,000 minimum wage.
Minimum wage.
That's why I'm really surprised that they are still gathering to March. Nigerians are steadfast, though.
I think it gives them a sense of belonging. Workers are usually underestimated and they're taken advantage of. Underappreciated. Unappreciated. All the uns in the words there. So to see that they come together on days like this, I'm gobsmacked. I really am gobsmacked.
You're flabberwhelmed.
Because if it were me, I wouldn't think.
For real,
I'm in my house.
Because today they're supposed to be Workers' Day, that they're supposed to be resting and just even taking stock of their work life. They're at the stadium, and I know that it's going to rain.
But it even feels, sometimes, I'm so sorry to say, it feels like those appearances at the stadium with the governors, with the firm sector, it oftentimes feels performative.
Of course.
Because what are we actually doing to celebrate these people? What are we actually doing to acknowledge what they give, what they do for the country, what they do for wherever they are? And I also think, we need to have a conversation about dignity in labor.
Yeah.
How are we having Labor Day conversations, but we're a country that seems so elitist and classist when it comes to people's labor.
Yep. You even say Labor Day. What's Labor Day? This is Workers' Day. Labor. America. And you know that many of these people, sometimes I stand to be corrected. It might be civil servants that feel most of this, and sometimes they are bullied into being there because you know that if you're not there, what would you be saying to your superiors? That's what I'm saying. What will you say to your superiors? So sometimes it's not like they're doing it willingly. So it's not like, joyfully. But those are the things that should make the day a day to be commemorated. When you can joyfully speak about, your good experiences, even though they are bad, some bad ones, but when this outweighs the other, it makes it really wholesome. But this one, even the t-shirt, they might even have to pay for it.
Exactly. But I don't know whether it's the same with Children's Day these days. We're in a new month, the month of May, and that's the Children's Month Day, Children's Day month.
Yeah.
When we're growing up, there used to be march pasts in the stadiums, like.
There still is.
I don't know whether it holds as much as then as a student or as a
It was something you looked forward. Your uniform. Mommy, I'm going to stadium. I'm part of the march. I'm marching. Your mother would have, new socks. Your mom would save new socks for things like that, where they would tear the socks out of the long one that gets to the and the longer your socks, it feels as if your parents are doing so well. Then my mom used to do something. She would now roll it. It would not be like a coil.
Yes.
You will not go. You feel so fine, and they will probably give you your uniform that you don't wear often.
Do you understand?
And looks
let's come back to Workers' Day. Bernard is on standby, and I think we've sorted.
The workers feel the same joy.
Bernard is on standby, and I believe we've sorted the technical issues. So let's go back to him. He is in the Ikeja area of Lagos as Lagos workers are gathering for the day. Bernard Akede, good morning to you once again.
Good morning, Tolu. I hope you can hear me clearer now. So I was saying earlier that we are at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena, what used to be called the Onikon Stadium in Lagos. And what you're seeing around me is the scenery, the scenario, basically the atmosphere, everything going on here at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena, where the 2025 May Day celebration is going to be taking place. They're just waiting for the governor to come in. And as you guys were saying in the studio, I would just like to jump on that particular conversation as well. This is the day where you get to see all the workers adorned in their different, or should I say, various attires, the different colors of whatever ministry or agency they work for. It's so colorful here. You know, there's yellow, there's green, there's white, there's black, there's red, all of them all celebrating. But then the question is, should they be celebrating? Right, on the way to work this morning, I was listening to the radio, and it's the same thing a lot of people were saying. May Day celebration, Workers' Day celebration. Should workers actually be celebrating? Now, I was reading out the theme for this year's celebration, and it's reclaiming the civic space in the midst of economic hardship. The last two words there have been the catchwords: economic hardship, reclaiming the civic space. There's so many questions to ask from that particular theme, Tolu, don't you think?
Yeah, there are a lot of questions because I don't like civic, the civic space often refers to CSO, so I'm questioning reclaiming the civic space on a Workers' Day, but let's leave that. Anyway, let's also bring Joshua Mariah into this. He's in Eagle Square in Abuja, also covering Workers' Day celebrations. I want to say Labor's Day, but Leila has corrected me. Unfortunately, it seems we're having some technical issues with Joshua right now. Hopefully we'll get him before we go on our break. But Ben asked a very good question.
I even want to ask Ben, what is the general atmosphere like? Because sometimes you can actually feel the pulse of the crowd.
Yeah.
Bernard, are you still there? Yes. I'm wondering, what is the atmosphere like? Because generally when you are celebrating May Day, you'd expect a lot of pomp, pageantry, bands, music, chanting, things that would generally make the atmosphere very joyful. But from looking at you, is it because they're just gathering, or
they really want to be there,
or they are really celebrating the civic space with economic hardship?
Wow. Yeah.
Actually, they actually are celebrating now. Outside of this, the arena, it's like a carnival. It's a fanfare. You have stands for different agencies as well. You have the health stand from the Lagos State Health Agency, where they're checking people's blood pressure and other things free of charge. You have those who are selling mementos and totems, T-shirts, face caps, branded items for Lagos State government and other things, and for labor as well. You have people who are selling food items. So it pretty much looks like carnival setting all around here. Vehicles parked outside. People are celebrating. You have talking drummers beating their drums, dancing and celebrating all around. But inside is where it's actually staying now, where you have the different agencies seated around. And then just to my right as well, you also have a stand by the Nigeria Police Band, where they always position themselves every year to supply music to the celebration today. But then again, is it really about the celebration today? Because after today, after May Day celebration, after Workers' Day celebration, we're going back out there into the labor market, proverbial labor market, to continue business as usual. The questions being asked as I was coming this morning over the radio, minimum wage, how many states are able to pay the proposed minimum wage of 70,000? Even for those who have been able to pay it, have the lives of the workers improved? We are facing galloping hyperinflation. Is 70,000 doing anything for these people? And for those who have not been able to pay 70,000, 30,000 or thereabout, is it even scratching the surface? Transportation, has it improved? Healthcare, has it improved? Education, has it improved? The workers in these sectors, have their lives improved significantly or insignificantly, if you like? So again, it goes beyond the celebration of today, like I always say. This, as we're saying today, is exactly what we saw last year, exactly what we saw 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and the years before that. I think it was only in the COVID year that there was no such gathering. But then again, after this, do we leave this place, come back in another 365 days, and then rinse and repeat? Something has to change, besides just the celebration of Labor.
So we've confirmed that Joshua Mariah at Eagle Square in Abuja is with us. Let's bring Joshua into this. Joshua, good morning to you.
This is serious.
That's him saying this is serious, so you can tell that it's a very big technical technical fault we're having there, but unfortunately we won't be able to take Joshua anymore. So we're expecting the governor. Let's quickly get back to Bernard Akede if he's with us. Let's confirm when it looks like we're expecting the governor. If the governor is in, we'll also be taking whatever speech he gives live. All right, so Ben, when do we know that we should be expecting the governors? What do the do we have an idea of what the rundown for the program is? What are we expecting to happen with all these workers gathered at Onika Stadium?
Sorry, Tolu, could you take that again, please?
When do we expect the governor to arrive, and what does it look like? What does the program of activities? That's what I'm looking for. The phrase, rather, program of activities. What does it look like for today?
Well, at the moment, they just announced that the Deputy Governor, Dr. Katri Obafemi Hamzat, has just arrived at the podium that you're looking at the moment. That's where he and other dignitaries will be seated. The Governor himself will be seated there. We expect the Governor to arrive any moment from now. According to the program that we were told about, it should start by 10 a.m. What's happening now is they're taking different presentations at the podium. There are presentations from different agencies. The health agency has spoken, and the agency in charge of HIV and AIDS would also speak. You'd also have, I think safety agency talking about muster points and safety precautions within the arena and outside, should in case, God forbid, anything goes wrong. Basically just different introductory speeches and all of that. And then at the program itself, the governor will arrive eventually. When he does come, they start with the national anthem and then the labor anthem, and then the representative of labor will speak, representative of trade union TUC will equally speak, then the governor will come forward and give his own speech. As it happens, like I said the last year, the year before, the governor will speak, he will thank everybody for coming, he will talk about what they did last year, talk about their gains so far, and then talk about the plans that they have in the coming years. Just as the labor union representative and TUC representative will thank the governor for what he's done, and then tell him about the challenges they are having, and then what they expect. Immediately after that, there will now be the march past by all the agencies represented here, adorned in their various colors, led by the governor first of all. Then the governor will stand and receive the salute, and then we'll call it a wrap for the day. It pretty much is the same thing. I mean, it's a ceremony, it's an annual ceremony, so it's the same thing we're going to be having. But again, we're hoping that after this whole ceremony is done and dusted, things will actually change. We will see the impact of the complaints of the people and the workers. We will see that things have changed in their work and in their lives. Because if nothing changes, then we're just repeating the same process year in, year out. Like I said, we'll be back here again 365 days after now, and it'll be rinse and repeat.
All right, Bernard Akede, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much. Once the governor is in and the activity starts, we'll be touching base with you on some of the big points of the day. Thank you so much, and happy Workers' Day to you too.
Yeah. It's actively working. Honestly, it feels, I was just listening to Bernard, and I know that there's nothing he said that is not true. We don't even need to second guess the program. It is cast in stone. Year in, year out. It's just going to follow the same trajectory, and we can only hope for better.
How long? Hope doesn't pay bills. Hope doesn't pay school fees. Hope doesn't help you when a family member or you yourself find yourself in the hospital. Am I going to pay the hospital bill with hope? Hope, you cannot take it to the market. Hope does not feed you. So I understand hoping. It's always good to be optimistic about things, but we also need to be realistic. What does the Nigerian government, at all levels, what does it do for its workers? How do we really feel about those who work for us across levels, be it private and public? We tend to focus on public workers now. What about private workers?
It's just a disconnect as far as I'm concerned, because Bernard kept saying something, reads and repeats. After 365 days, we'll be here again. It's something that has gone on over and over. Let's say for the past 2 years, it's the same thing, rinse and repeat. So there's a disconnect here. You're doing it perfunctorily, that, okay, this is what's expected of us, and then that's it. And people, what caught my attention, and we talked about it during JAM, is that there are vendors everywhere. There are food vendors.
It's not like the food is free. It's not like it's not like it's the government that provided all these amenities.
With their meager salaries,
and
that are paying for
sure
their
that they pay for their
t-shirts
and their
exactly. So what do we say? Okay, so we'll take a short break right now. Let's go and sell markets. We'll be right back after the break. Stay with us.
So I actually don't think we said Happy Workers' Day. So let's correct that. Happy Workers' Day! Hello, ladies. Hello.
Happy Workers' Day.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Wow. All right. So because it seemed that we did not do that, let's not make it seem like we're not celebrating Happy Workers' Day before we get into these stories. Whew. And because it's a public holiday, we wanted to take things easy. But these stories are not easy, particularly this first one. So let's talk about something we don't often see here in Nigeria. And that's resignations due to personal convictions. Just a few days ago, Harrison Gwamnishu resigned his position as the Senior Special Assistant on Civil Society and Youth Mobilization to the Delta State Governor, Sheriff Oborevwori. In his resignation letter, he cites the ongoing issues in insecurity in Delta communities, which he said that he had continuously brought to the governor's attention. He said that he has come to the unfortunate realization that meaningful solutions are not being accepted by the governor's administration. He further said that the, quote, continuous escalation of insecurity and the persistent lack of action to provide effective resolutions has rendered him unable to fulfill his duties with integrity and effectiveness that I believe is essential, end quote. Now, he has also shared a video on his Instagram calling out the security agencies and the lack of government action. Let's watch.
They have what they call the SOP, Standard Operating Procedure. They don't follow it. Their own is to stop vehicles, search them, extort, and if you make those, they brutalize you. This is what happened to a young man in Akwa. This is one of the evidence of the cases, several cases reported through the SSG, through even DG Security himself, who is unfit to head that department. Very, very unfit to head that department. Have you ever heard one day that Operation Sweep sunk into action, enter bush, and then caught one kidnapper? One. You don't hear that one day. You can never hear it because their mandate currently is to harass innocent people in the street of Asaba and Agbo. Now look at what they have done to people in Agbo. Operation Sweep. They never one day say they go bush, follow us, say, oh yeah, let's go to the bush and pursue these armed robbers, these kidnappers, terrorizing us. But that's their duty to do that, to respond to violent crimes. And they come to the street to commit havoc. And the kidnappers on our street? No, they're inside the bush. These kidnappers are inside the bush and not on the road, for goodness sake. They are in the bush and not on the road. So stop harassing young people on the road. Stop abusing them. Stop extorting motorists on the road. Go to the bush where these guys are currently adapting our people.
In the same video, he talked about the Delta Orc security outfit, which was a joint security outfit to respond to violent crimes. They are accused of killing innocent people, abducting them, and extorting them. The outfit was renamed Operation Sweep. He said that they have never swept one thing for one day, and that the DG overseeing the outfit should be removed. If you don't know him, Gwamnishu is a noted activist who is in his early 20s. He was arrested, charged and convicted for a crime he said he didn't commit. He spent 4 years behind bars, and that seems to have profoundly shaped his life's mission. He also is a Mandela Washington Fellow and also started an initiative to provide legal aid to victims of wrongful detentions.
So he's not in his early 20s, but it was in his early 20s
when that happened.
When that situation happened. Since then, he came out and he's been doing a lot of things. Let's take some reactions to his resignation. Ladies, prepare yourself. I don't think you understand the position you have been appointed on. It's like a governor resigning because he's overwhelmed with the security situation in his state. This is a failure on your side, sir. Edro, just wait. A sincere person is a sincere person. You are one whose appointments are celebrated because it is clear you will use your influence for good. It is unfortunate it had to end this way, but as always, I thank God for you. Here's to future endeavors free of shackles, sir. This wouldn't stop anything from going on. Another person will gladly take the position. This is another person's prayer request, LOL. Did your appointments come by X? Why is your resignation letter here? For social media validation, you should have used your office to make a difference, regardless of the challenges, not run away. You resigned from where you should have contributed to. Maybe you have nothing to contribute, Sha. Your weakness is that you are too emotional and you don't know how to let things go. Work on it and see how you will be strong. I hope you heal. I think your position as SSA puts you in a more advantageous position to do your work. You may not directly influence the government to do their work, but it earns you the respect needed to fight most of your cause, especially with police brutality. When you pull over as SSA to the governor, I'm sure you will get more attention if anyone is being oppressed than if you're not in that position. So, I don't know where we want to take it from.
Honestly, this country, yesterday, let me not lie, I had to go home very late, and the car that I was in took one way. And in my spirit, I was happy because I was going to get home fast. Then I was checked again that this is an illegality, but it serves my purpose at this time. That is why I'm happy. But that is the disposition of a lot of us Nigerians. If this guy continues in government, eats from the pot, feeds with them, feasts with them, these are the same people that will judge him and say, we thought you would go there and effect change. For a person to say, I'm resigning, you don't know the kind of pushbacks
in this Nigeria
he has gotten that might even affect his well-being personally. And you know that sometimes when your hands are not in the mud with every other person, they will not allow you to play the game. You can't stand up and say, no, I'm not a part of you. So that means you'll be isolated. You might never be able to do anything with that position that you think you have. So is it that we no longer have integrity in this country? Then let it all become, people wanted to descend to a time of chaos when there was no order. So somebody resigned because he feels that his personal convictions, this can't work. And I don't want to be tarnished. I don't want to be tainted. Do you know what it is to put your hands in the cookie jar? That means you no longer have a right to speak.
Well, someone would actually also argue that, but for you to take that appointment, you know how politics works.
That your white will end up stained.
Yeah, well, you can't get into politics without actually getting your hands dirty. Okay, that's a given. At the same time, you enter politics because you feel you can make a change, you can make a difference. And like Lola says, do what you feel convinced in your spirit to do. Because if you want to go to please Nigerians, you'll be caught sleeping on a bicycle. So you must do what it is that your spirit leads you to do. If a man has had to withdraw himself from serving his state or being in an official capacity to do so, I agree with Lolo. I've seen some things that have challenged him and said, you know, this thing is like holding me by the throat. I will not be able to take my, or what do you call it? Faire mon travail. I won't be able to execute, exercise. Voila. You know, just do my work, Sha. I won't be able to do my work the best way I want to do my work. So this is a man who I think, based on, you know, what we know about him, he's decided to start his own small organization. He's
And that's before he went into government.
Before he went into government. He's looking at it now. There is something he wants to focus on more because it will give him the freedom. Someone
to do what? Yes, that be shackled with.
Free from shackles. If he pursues that and gets there's something when you do
a sense of satisfaction.
Yeah, when you help people, when you're kind toward people, and you feel a sense of, and that impact. Is beyond money.
So if any of us, if he has the harrowing experience he went through in his 20s, trust me, some things shapes people forever that they never recover. But now I'm wondering that where are our sensibilities in this country? Is it that we have lost sense of purpose? We have lost direction to a point that we do not know what is right and what is wrong and what is to be applauded.
The answer to that question is yes, yes, and yes. Yeah. Because you talk about his past, and he's one of the people that I've seen has come out and he's made it like a personal life mission that this thing should not happen to other people. It could have been the exact opposite. People can come out bitter, resentful, hateful, and it's almost like you want the world to suffer the way you suffered. Yeah. And there's a key point in his statement that I want to focus on. I think it's 1, 2, 3. The third paragraph. He says, despite numerous messages, calls, blueprint documents aimed at addressing these pressing concerns have all been thrown out. I have come to the unfortunate realization that meaningful solutions are not being accepted by your administration. And he says that as a civil rights leader, I accepted the appointment as a commitment to serve and protect our community. We often talk about people who are in the CSO space, who are in the legal space, joining governments to add their own part, to make government better. But let's not ignore that oftentimes they become a sole voice in the wind, a sole voice in the wilderness. Yeah. So he's talking about Delta youth being assaulted, allegedly being kidnapped, allegedly being killed, allegedly being extorted by government agencies that are meant to protect them. To protect them from the people coming from the forest, from the bandits, from the kidnappers, from whoever. You have now empowered them and they turned on the people.
Look at what's happening in Lagos. What's the difference? Police and organizations are stopping youth as well. And in Niger State, for example, you've profiled people. People that have dada.
It was the backlash that made you clarify your statement.
So this is from Delta State. Lagos, I know we have talked about it, in various conversations in pockets on this table about how youth are being stopped, stopped by the wayside by police officers, and they're saying, okay, you want to search your bag, we want to do this, take your phones, and just be badly behaved, and that's abusing and pushing the envelope in terms of your duty. So, is it on a silent script that they're following?
We're not done with this story, but we need to take we're not done with this story. We need to take a quick time out because there's also the conversation about when you're trying to free people that don't know that they're shackled, or people that even know that they're shackled but they're okay with their shackles.
Yes.
We'll talk about it when we come back.
Yeah.
We do have one or two other stories, but we need to really dig into this story because I think it calls, Lola was talking about if we've lost I say it's a moral compass. We've lost our moral compass. We've lost our moral compass as a country. We rarely see people, especially political appointees, resign for personal convictions. This is a situation in which he should be applauded. Before he became the aide to the Delta governor, he's been doing things. Yeah. One of the reasons he came to my notice was the number of situations. I don't remember if you remember the Andrew case from last year about the young girl who went missing.
Yes, he was one of the ones.
Yes, he's one of the ones. He has spearheaded a number of cases like that. Has worked to help people reclaim their money. Yeah. There was a video I saw on his timeline of the money that was taken from some people in Delta State. He helped them get it back from the police. He's helped families investigate kidnappings and missing. So he has a reputation. And when you are very, very conscious of what your name stands for, you'll get to a point and you say, "Wow, this my Oshe cannot stay with your kwen." Yoruba people say, "Oshe to back kwen to back pela Oshe, you Oshe." It's basically like when the kwen.
You have been battling with it.
It stays close to the soul. So unfortunately, it's not a literal translation. It basically means something. The longer you stay with something, you become more.
It's just like telling me that you are wearing white in a palm oil company. no matter the longer you stay, the more
higher
stain
the more like the higher probability of your white being stained.
There's so many things that we get entangled with.
Yeah.
Even by, do you know there's something they say, oh, you're not the killer, but you're an accomplice.
You're accomplice.
You
Either
probably
before or
were
after
there.
the fact.
You were there when the thing happened and you did nothing.
Yeah.
So you stood by. So he could be standing by and not indulging.
True.
But he will
His
still
presence
be
is still.
So whether we
his
like
credibility will still be affected. I would have thought that Nigerians would come out and support and say, wow, you see how this about this kind of people.
You're emotional over what?
Over what?
If we want to make a difference in our governance, in the fabric of the people who are sitting at the hem of affairs, we have to put ourselves in their positions. A lot of us, unfortunately, think in terms of money and think that, oh, insofar as you are there, just be there, just there, just be there.
You guys will remind me, I was looking for his name, the northern politician who resigned. What was his story again?
He was saying that he couldn't just be in an office and then every month he's not doing anything, but he's collecting his salary.
Do you know how many thousands of people are like that in this in the
Someone
political
said
structures that we have?
in one of the reactions, he said, oh, a lot of people are dying to be in your position.
Yeah, and somebody else will be appointed to that
Of
position.
course they will be appointed, but that means that this country, I just keep saying that if you become a martyr for people that do not appreciate what you died for, what is the essence of it? Sometimes we are struggling to, I won't lie, mentally I'm struggling that, okay, we're talking about bad governance, bad leadership, the systemic failure of so many institutions. And now I'm looking at a people who in themselves are not better than the government.
Yeah.
The government did not come. The government did not come from outside of us.
I wanted to buy a wedu in Berger, and I was going to pay the woman by transferring money to her account, not an outsider, not a POS operator.
Yeah.
Do you know she insists that I must pay
bank charges?
I said I'm not paying to a POS. I'm doing POS too. So because she has a POS business, I'm buying a wedu from her and I'm paying 1,000 naira, and she would insist that I pay bank charges. I asked her right there. I said, Madam, is this your president's fault? What has Tinubu got to do with this thing
that you are doing?
She just threw her face to the side and like, if you don't want it, doesn't matter. And I said, are we better? The government is a reflection of who we are.
Which is why Nigerian politicians, a lot of times when they're sitting down, they're laughing at Nigerians.
Yes, we are
laughing at Nigerians.
We react.
They come from us. They're not separate. It's not Jesus that gave us that said, okay, go and be picking your politicians from this place, like you're picking cabbage patch.
And the Jesus cannot help us. We say, it's not. No, guys, if we don't categorically sit down and take the bull by the horns and be prepared mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever, we need to get to a 360 turnaround. If we don't do that, then we're just making noise.
So, you know, I want to make this point because of what Lolo said and what you said, and then what some of the comments said. So, because he mentioned, the video is much longer than that, but we have to take the important parts, and he talked about the NSARS. Let's not forget where the NSARS movement started. Was it not in Delta? Was it not something that happened in Delta that kicked off the protest?
Yes.
October 2020, and you know we're going on 5 years this year of NSARS. What has the 5 years brought us? So when we talk about, oh, Nigerians want to protest and march, that's where you get people thinking, who am I coming out to march for? I know I might be marching for myself, but if something should happen to me or happen to my family member, are Nigerians going to carry placards? What is going to be the legacy of that sacrifice that somebody makes on behalf of a better Nigeria? When some people are telling him that somebody else will take the position, you're too emotional. How are you supposed to? Did you see the pictures he shared? How are you not supposed to be emotional about people being abused, harassed, and extorted by people being paid by the state to keep them safe? How is that? How does it make sense?
Do you know how dangerous it is to be in Delta? I'm going somewhere close soon, and I'm wondering that even if you're a youth in Delta, if you don't hold yourself well, you will be at loggerheads with the authorities, security agencies. They profile you by your dressing, by your hair,
by your car. There's another video, it was not 2 weeks ago, about a young guy that it was, I think, a crowd of people that helped him, and then the police had to shoot and escape. And I think there was one police officer who wasn't able to escape. Again, Delta. So if you want to go, there's what he's saying can be verified by the online reports that people often get. And people are scared to even report. That's another thing. People are scared to report. Even if they report, what happens to them?
This is one of our colleagues lose a car. By the time he was reporting, he said the stress he was going through, as the person whose car was stolen, he said he just said to himself that
no need.
Let the car go.
And they make it so difficult and complicated that a lot of Nigerians end up saying no need. And then we're surrounded by those who don't want to give it a chance. And Tolu said something, October this year will make it 5 years since NSAS. And Nigerians are, I can tell you for free.
So many youths have left Nigeria based on what happened to their lives because of NSAS. They are not in this country, and it's not because they like where they are, but they are there because nobody is going to protect them here. And that's why sometimes when your loved ones, imagine if Tolu's husband now decides to become an activist, who Tolu tied apart to the chair, let Nigeria fight for themselves. Don't kill me.
So most people end up
who is going I wish there was a Yoruba adage in my head. How is sweet that it is other people's children that is easy to push aside. Not your own.
Yeah.
They say only when they do one that means it's so easy to watch a madman in the market and laugh and dance and play with them, but you don't want that madman to be your own child.
Yeah,
it's a lot of. I'm always deep thinking about this country, and I look at our youth, keypad warriors. But when you look at the fabric of their understanding, their understanding,
can you blame them?
They don't even have any sense of knowing.
Lolo, can you blame them? Are we not being told that there's still people involved in NSAS that are still in some prisons in this country?
And then we're still
Can you blame them?
And somebody is standing for rights.
And we're doing Workers' Day.
Okay, so let's turn our attention to our next story. Because this one, I'm sure we'll come back to it in other discussions here. Insofar as it's on Jaseri, this Jaseri table, there are some discussions that we definitely come back to. And this one is one of them. But for now, let's turn our attention to significant legal development that underscores the electoral integrity in Nigeria. So in response to recent discussions surrounding the conviction of Professor Peter Ogban for electoral fraud during the 2019 Akwa Ibom Northwest senatorial election, Senator Godswill Akpabio has publicly refuted the claims that Ogban acted on his behalf. Now, through a statement issued by his chief press secretary, Anyete Kong, Akpabio asserted that he was, in fact, a victim of the electoral malpractice, emphasizing that Ogban's actions led to the cancellation of 61,329 votes from his stronghold in a Sinodom local government area, adversely affecting his electoral outcome. Akpabio highlighted that the National Assembly Election Tribunal and the Court of Appeal recognized these irregularities, resulting in the annulment of the election and ordering a rerun in a Sinodom. He contended that the conviction of Ogban served to vindicate his stance that the election was manipulated against him, not in his favor.
Now, on Wednesday, the Court of Appeal upheld the conviction of Professor Peter Ogban, a former lecturer at the University of Calabar, who was sentenced to 3 years in prison for manipulating election results during the 2019 Akwa Ibom Northwest senatorial election. Professor Ogban, serving as the returning officer for the election, was found guilty of altering vote counts in favor of the APC candidate Godswill Akpabio. Specifically, I think something around he inflated APC votes by 5,000 in Oruk Anam local government area and made similar adjustments in Etim Ekwa LGA. Now, despite these manipulations, Akpabio lost the election to the People's Democratic Party candidate Chris Ekwayoung. Now, the case marks a rare instance where an academic has been held accountable for electoral malpractice, highlighting the critical role of integrity among officials overseeing elections. It also brings to the forefront the ongoing issues of electoral fraud and the importance of upholding democratic processes in Nigeria.
Akpabio, former governor of Akwa Ibom State, won the 2015 senatorial election in the district as a candidate of the PDP, but later in August 2018 defected to the APC. He contested again for the senatorial election in 2019 as the APC candidate, but lost to Christopher Ekwayoung, a former deputy governor of Akwa Ibom State, who was the PDP candidate in the election. His victory reportedly came as a shock because of how the PDP has been entrenched in Akwa Ibom politics and how his kin and party chieftains rejected his candidacy days before the poll. Let's take a look at the reactions to this particular situation.
This is Mr. Macaroni. He says, for emphasis, the person that the convicted professor rigged an election for is the incumbent Senate President of Nigeria, Godswill Akpabio. For clarification, the Senate President presides over the deliberations of bills that become law in Nigeria. Oma, I don't tire. I love this. We always blame Inec and politicians for election fraud, but we forget to talk about universities' professors who help in reading of results and declaration. Abia State last election shows us how they can be involved and also avoid it. Now, while he moves in convoy and lives in affluence, people pay the price of his election into office by serving jail term. With this update, INEC should declare his election null and void. This should be the normal thing to do in this instance. Why is Akpabio still standing as senator? If he has any shame with him, he should have since resigned, as there is allegations that the election was rigged in his favor. Justice served. Let this be a warning to all who think democracy is a game of figures, not fairness. Fraud and corruption practices will not be sustained in a new and better Nigeria with good governance. Meet yourself in the front of a pro-good governance judge in Nigeria of today and you will get justice. Kudos to the judge. Funny how he didn't influence the judgment and left the prof to his fate. A lesson to election officials. In a civilized country like the West, Senator Akpabio by now should have stepped down as Senate President. All right, before we get into the conversation, let's just go ahead and take a quick break, and we will be wrapping up the show looking at this situation. Stay with us. I know I'm live. I'm trying to gather my thoughts on this story because one of the things we noted, as said, is it's unfortunately rare for us to see someone face a trial for electoral malpractice or fraud and then even be convicted. So two things have happened. Someone has actually faced a trial. Somebody has faced a conviction. It is important for us to know that the Senate President has denied any involvement with Professor Peter Ogban. So a lot of people talk about having these professors be the returning officers and things. And these are people who are supposed to be above anything. They're supposed to uphold integrity. They're university dons. And they're not just any university professors. They're not just any academics. You understand? And so if we just finished a conversation about somebody resigning in Delta State because of personal convictions. Now you look at this story and you're thinking, if it's professors who are, so who was he doing it for?
Can anything come out? Can anything good come out of Akpabio? So I've been having mixed feelings about this story, but I'm also, as Tolu said, okay, now we're seeing that there has been a conviction, there has been a hearing, and there's been a sentencing, and there's been a conviction. And I'm thinking, okay, you know, when you watch crime dramas, you know that, okay, someone has to take the fall for something. Yeah. So you're looking at that kind of situation play out here. Someone's taking the fall for something. It's convenient for you to distance yourself from it. And then you sort him out because that guy is a professor at Unical. So when he comes out of there, his professorship is tainted. Yeah. Whether he'll get another job in a university may not be Calabar, but he may get a job as a professor lecturing in a university. I don't know.
How do you do that with a criminal record? So you don't know where except it's expunged.
We know, and the thing we know that we are not saying, whether we like it or not, there's the picture behind the picture that unfolds. And I will tell you for a fact that I'm seeing this picture. Prof will go and serve time in prison. He will come out and he will be sorted. Okay, go first and stay like 6 months and let's see how see how you can serve the remaining part of your term at home or something. But prison, he will go. Sorted by Akpabio and people, he will be sorted. It's as simple as that. We don't want to face that ultimately. Someone say, okay, you're just speculating. But yeah, I'm speculating, I'm Nigerian. No. Let me speculate. But I'm saying that this is what is going to play out, and whether we like it or not, we'll still come back to this.
I just look at Nigeria, and it's like a game of chess played by, people that are not experts. Because if you see people that are chess players, and you see their moves, they are calculated moves, very cutthroat. I wish Tunde can come and teach us how chess is played. These are bad players, badly behaved players that have no discipline. And this is somebody in the academia that you will say should be above reproach. But you are the one that is, your hand was cut in. When it in the that means somebody has been stealing from your farm, but nobody has caught it. But it's the one, even if it is ordinary leaf of the land, of the cassava plant. Look at this professor now. His name is the one that is battling his children, his reputation, his work reputation, his academic reputation. There are so many things that is wrong with this picture. Exactly. Look how quiet the man looks. And you are wondering that, oh, look at this gentleman. But see what is happening now. Nobody's going to associate themselves with him.
I think there's a bigger picture that we also need to look at beyond him, the Senate President's denial of being involved or working with him or him working for him or whatnot, is the electoral integrity. There are Nigerians who are reading about this story and say, is that not what we're telling you? Do you say that our votes will count? INEC has got to find a way to reduce the issues of electoral fraud, even if there are allegations, to the barest minimum, because even every single allegation continues to chip away at the remaining trust that Nigerians have for INEC. So this story is not just about the prof. It's not just about the Senate President and how he became Senate President of INEC. It's about the integrity of INEC itself. What is INEC going to do? How can you manufacture a whole 5,000 votes? That means, let me tell you, he's not the only one involved. He could not have done it by himself.
Even if you look at this matter, look at it in sacrosanct with what happened to Senator Natasha. When the votes, just in the evening, you told us that there were no, the names were submitted, but they had no addresses, they had no way of emails and everything. By the time we woke up the next morning, over how many thousands of email, whatever, that was
had been supposedly provided,
omitted, have been sent in and acknowledged. There are so many loopholes to these things that even the basest of minds will be able to say, there's something wrong with this picture. It's not like me lying now and say, I'm not wearing yellow. This is what is happening in Nigeria. This is not yellow.
Give them a bone. Let it look as if they've won. You know, the court has convicted someone. Just give them a bone.
Somebody must take a fall for it.
Happy with. Meanwhile, the bigger picture is the foundation. Tolu said that thing.
2027 is upon us. 2027 is just dead.
1 more year.
I don't even think we're ready. INEC, we need to hold INEC by the proverbial balls and then see how they can come together. If we don't sort it out and lock up those loopholes within INEC,
you see, by 2027, I believe you that you will become another Akwa Ibom. Chebi, you are still using perfunctory. You will see a lot of Kabi will be dropping nuggets of words that cataclysmic, of the you will know English. Honestly, I want INEC,
two men whose faces we have been seeing.
INEC do better.
You know, this is what Peter always tells us when he comes. At the end of the day, it's not just about the people who get into the office. It's about how they get in. And the owner of the process of how they get in is the Independent National Electoral Commission.
Are they truly independent?
Our issues are the place we need to focus attention is on how INEC does its work.
But when you say INEC and we insist on that independence, if you are reading and a word jumps out at you, you underline it.
When you're assigned or put in place by a president.
Exactly.
And then
independent. Are you telling me that this watchdog can truly hold the pit bulls of this political arena? Something that looks like a poodle. You know when a poodle is trying to scare you?
Hold on, let's go home.
Anyway, this brings us to the end of another Thursday on Jaseri, a day where we pause, reflect, and push a little deeper into the stories that shape our lives. Whether today's conversation left you challenged, inspired, or simply more informed.
Or even afraid.
Afraid, yes. So we hope we reminded you of the power of dialogue and the need for action. We head towards the end of the week. Don't just carry the headlines, carry the questions. Until next week, stay hopeful.
Which one is next week? Until tomorrow.
It'd be like
No, it's because you said anything.
We have a hot topic special guest joining us.
Yes, until tomorrow. Stay thoughtful, stay bold, stay unafraid. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.